Tubers, long time no speak. Um, yeah, this is how we close today using um, play money, paper money. The reason why I couldn't use my TradeAvate is because by like I think 4:10 or 4:15, I get kicked out of the account. It's really annoying. It does not go until 5 p.m. It's very, very annoying. But as you can see, $93 in profit. This is my view. I've actually added another uh, fractal model. It's the 15-minute here. So it's the 5 minute I've been executing. Love the 5 minute. I'm a total 5 minute trader now. Um, but I always had like the 1 hour time frame, but now I've added the 15-minute fractal model to it. What's cool about this is that these four little candles is operating inside of this candle, right? So when you start to see big movements happening in this one candle, it's because of these four little candles, right? So that's why I brought the 15-minute fractal here, even though I do have the 15-minute execution here, panel here, but that uses the 4 hour fractal with the daily and then the monthly. I use that as well for like real high point liquidity, zones as well. But normally this is off anyway. But I work with these two. So I got the 4 hour and the daily on my 15-minute execution panel. And then the 5 minute now has the 1 hour and the 15 minute. And yeah, that's basically how that looks now. Um, so yeah, this is what I use. And it's great. Um, so let me just dig into it a little bit. So as you can see, there's a lot of fractals, these are C2 sweeps happening. We got some S&Ts happening for ES. Um, and then there's Jarvis. So where I put Jarvis now in my intelligence stacks of indicators, it's the intelligence layer, it's the statistical layer, right? So I can tell, like, there was one play I did today. Where did I take that play at? It was, I believe it was on, yeah, this structure here. So when this structure was created, this was an A key. It had about, I think, 6 samples, 100% win rate, um, and it wasn't balanced. Balance, like the balance, when I mean balance is this, the state was not balanced. Balance is always a 50-50, where it could either go or have a real significant pullback and go the opposite direction. It wasn't that at all. So what I did was I just entered on the confirmation, and this is what happened. Boom, hit TP, took 250 and ran. Was great. Um, so this is where Jarvis really shows his power, because within the fractal model is how I trade now. But inside of the fractal model, Jarvis lives with statistical data. So when I see A keys show up, high win percentages, if there's any crosses like death cross or golden cross and there's some statuses on it, DNA looking pretty good, it gives me even more confluence on how I'm trading, right? So that's where Jarvis is really powerful now for me. Now, I'm a little spoiled, okay? I got, TooDegrees and I got Jarvis. So I'm very, very spoiled. But let's just say, for instance, you didn't have you weren't moving in fractals, right? You didn't have the inverted fair value gap. You didn't have the Chad Bull Elite AI as well to, print out all of these, um, fair value gaps and breaker blocks and stuff. You didn't have stat map as well to tell you exactly where all the major liquidity pools are. You didn't have that, right? Then what do? Can you still work? Absolutely, you still can, right? Because if you see, Jarvis now is just the statistical layer. So Jarvis by itself still works. right? It still draws out the EMA 200. We can see that we are above the 200 EMA, right? That's a sign that we're still in a kind of like in a bullish, neutral to bullish zone, right? Because you can be neutral too and be trading above the 200, but you're neutral to bullish, definitely not neutral to bearish, right? You can see we're going upwards, right? This is a straight line going across the chart, right? This is a PTR, bullish PTR, right? Potential trend reversal. You can see that the EMA 200 is not running parallel with it, right? So we are in an uptrend. You can see that, right? You have your EMA 21 in your 50s, right? That's still there from Jarvis, automatically plotting for you. So really, it's just a Bollinger Band. So this still can work, right? This still works. But again, I'm spoiled, all right? Because the 2 degrees fractal model is amazing. The stat map is amazing. Chat bull as well is amazing. These are all great indicators, right? The inverted fair value gap is amazing. So once you start turning all this on, this chart comes alive. And these are my charts. I don't need nothing else from the market. I don't need nothing else from any other indicator. I have my Jarvis for my statistics. All of my analytical data on the structure is there with automatic journaling. So I don't got to worry about what the statistics is for it. It gives me all of these different variables with the structure. I have that information, so I'm good. TTrades, 2 degrees TTrades is good for the, because I move in fractals now. So that I use that for my fractal entries or whatnot, right? The stat map, which you see here, it's like the red, medium, I mean the bearish manipulation, the bullish distribution. Those are your major liquidity zones, right, where you'll find your support and your resistance. So I have that as well. And in my inverted fair value gap, which I use as well. See, this is an inversion, right? It comes in, it taps into the inversion, close below. All of that I use, and then it creates my map. And as you can see, look, I'm $93 up, even at even at market close. It was already starting a 15-minute fractal C2 sweep here. As you can see the C2, right? So what would you be expecting? Now, here's what's crazy. I entered because the uh, TTrades Fractal Model also prints these swings. He added that recently, which is dope. It'll tell you when the swing is protected. These protected swings only show up when you're inside of an actual model for a sweep, right? So what I did was I had two different colors. I have my 15-minute color and I have my um, 1 hour color. So as you can see here, this was a 1 hour fractal move, right, for a sweep, and the 15-minute was starting, which is happening within this candle. So these four is in within here. There's a sweep actually building within this candle, and then you have a 1 hour, fractal doing this thing. Um, so you know the protected swing was here. This protected swing was for this fractal. So when this new 15-minute fractal comes up, what are you expecting? Well, if I was drawing this out, there would be this candle would finish, right? Now this is your CICD candle, change in state of delivery. Two things you can do. There would be on the next candle there would be a T spot printing somewhere in here that would be respecting the um, you know basically the equilibrium of the previous candle, which would be somewhere around here, and you would expect it to go into that T spot, close back up, and that's where you enter. But because I entered here because this protected swing was for this particular fractal C2 sweep, I'm already inside already, right? It dipped into my um, stop loss area, and it's above. And that's what it is, man. I think what happens with these structures and and being able to analyze the market structure, I'm not big on the front running. I'm not a front runner, man. I don't like putting boxes in places and expecting a market reaction to come to me. I rather follow the breadcrumbs of price. That's how Jarvis was designed, to follow the breadcrumbs of price, basically, and then have a prediction, uh, flow on where you think it will go, but you're following the price, right? It's not I'm waiting for the structure to reach me and then have a reaction. I'm not in for that because that would mean that you're predicting the market. I'm not at that stage to even think of even doing something like that. So I'm going to follow the breadcrumbs of price, and that's how we do it here. Hope you enjoyed the video. More to come.